good, people? What's happening? What's happening, people? Lisa Bales, John Dealey in the house. Hey, good evening, good afternoon to you too, John Dealey, and of course my Ayaba Lisa Bales, peace and power. Hey, just a interesting last few days of boxing. We went from loving this sport to absolutely hating this sport. You had the Lee Wood versus Conlon fight, which was an excellent fight. It's weird because that was probably the only fight that I've ever got my sons, my 8-year-old and 5-year-old, to sit and watch. They actually watched that fight and they loved that fight, how exciting it was and all of that. And they watched that fight and they loved that fight. So, and that's one good thing boxing has done for me lately. And then almost immediately after that, you heard the news of the Jamal Charlo, Jaime Munguia fight falling through. Boxing is just a terrible sport. It can't help himself. Boxing can't get out its own way. The one thing good, no, take a step forward and then take 2 steps back. What I found interesting, first off, was that the Jaime Munguia versus Jamal Charlo fight was being pushed as a pay-per-view. A pay-per-view. There's no way a Jaime Munguia versus Jamal Charlo fight is a pay-per-view fight. Then, of course, the blame game starts happening with Steven Espinosa blaming Golden Boy and dazn. Golden Boy saying they want to, work on the fight and all this other BS. Steven Espinosa was talking about how, dazn didn't put up the money, to bid for the fight, or else they could have got the fight. But what happened when dazn tried to put up the money for the unification with Jamal Charlo and Demetrius Andrade? Y'all weren't interested in that. How all of a sudden, you're so willing to allow dazn to bid on the Jaime Munguia fight? Hell, they even were cool with letting Demetrius Andrade go over to Showtime to fight Jamal Charlo in a unification fight. And y'all didn't want that neither. That might have justified a pay-per-view, but a damn Jamal Charlo versus Jaime Munguia fight is not no damn pay-per-view. That ain't no $80 fight. I'm sick of these people trying to nickel and dime the fans out of all their money. The last time I saw Jamal Charlo on a pay-per-view, he didn't do shit. It was him and his brother in a 2-for-1 deal. And people still didn't buy the shit. People still didn't buy it. But no, Steven Espinosa wants to put Jaime Munguia and Jamal Charlo on pay-per-view. Stop. On the other hand, I see Oscar De La Hoya talking about how, he wants dazn in there and all this, Well, sorry, that's Mike Coppinger and Steven Espinosa saying the reason why it broke down is because Golden Boy is insisting that dazn be involved in the American broadcast rights. Why is Oscar De La Hoya all of a sudden so dedicated to giving dazn a championship fight involving Jaime Munguia when he had the opportunity to do one with Demetrius Andrade and they did not? Jaime Munguia could have gotten a fight for a belt anytime he wanted. And they chose not to. And Demetrius Andrade was on the same broadcast with Jaime Munguia. Demetrius is out of the weight class now. But back then, he could have had that fight as soon as he moved up from 154. And they said no. You put yourself in the WBC route. You have a shot at the Charlo belt now. And you're still saying no. Acting stupid. This is why in boxing sometimes I tend to be very careful. with my energy these days, because sometimes nothing makes sense, and all these people trying to justify one end or the other, it's all nonsense. I simply can't understand. Okay, fine, Jaime Munguia gets a shot, then is the zone themselves actually demanding that they get involved in the broadcast? Because Showtime wants it to be a pay-per-view. Showtime wants it to be a pay-per-view. Is Oscar saying they want to do a co-pay-per-view with the zone and Showtime for Jaime Munguia, Jamal Charlo? Are you stupid? This fight ain't even worth one broadcast company pay-per-view. You want two companies to do pay-per-view, or are they saying they want Jaime Munguia, the Munguia fight, to be a part of the subscription package on the zone also? None of it make no sense. And you have these people now turning into broadcast company fanboys, not realizing it doesn't matter what you say, we're still not going to get the fight. That's a good fight. It's just not a pay-per-view fight. And that's unfortunate. That was some wild stuff. The zone cut out. Yeah. The zone didn't show that part. I think they also cut out when Callum Smith did that nasty knockout of Lenin Castillo. The zone has had some nasty knockouts. And it was the right thing to do. Mind-boggling, definitely. John Dealey says Showtime trying for the Guinness Book of Records for lowest pay-per-view buys. They are currently tied with Tyson Fury's UK pay-per-view buys against Tom Shaw. I'm telling you, it's odd though. These Tyson Fury buys are always hidden though. Always hidden. I don't know. Seeing Leigh Wood versus Mick Conlan on the weekend really outlines to me that what these people are doing with all these pay-per-views is criminal. It's criminal. They're nickel and diming the fans, well, in America, that is, for basic fights, nickel and diming them for basic fights. Absolutely ridiculous. Pay-per-views are supposed to be when you crowdsource, because you have to pay over and above, when you have to bring a certain person to your platform who is A, worth it, and B, somebody who you are going to make back your money with. Pay-per-views are not just because, you don't have the money to pay just any fighter. So you just say, hey, look here, man, you're going to pay for this Jaime Munguia. Y'all don't pay Jamal Charlo that much money. I know Jaime don't make that much money. So why do y'all need the fans to help you to make a Jamal Charlo versus Jaime Munguia fight? But that's my comment on the Charlo versus Munguia. I think it's absolutely ridiculous that all of a sudden Oscar is so invested in having dazn involved in his championship fight when Oscar could have gotten an in-house, in-broadcast championship fight for Jaime Munguia with Demetrius Andrade, and he didn't. Now all of a sudden he's acting different. Now Munguia has to go to Showtime. He could have just gone. I think the fact that we're not going to see this goddamn Charlo fight is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Jamal Charlo is wasting away. They had him all stored up in cotton balls, in mothballs, in foam, peanut foam, and just waiting for a Canelo fight. No Canelo fight. David Benavidez, same thing. No Canelo fight. Now I'm seeing Benavidez gonna fight Lemieux and Caleb Plant gonna fight Durrell, and the winners are gonna meet. I'm like, oh man. But whatever. I just think that the whole Jaime Munguia thing is ridiculous, man. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. I don't have no love for Jaime because Jaime ducked Demetrius Andrade on the same broadcast. And y'all didn't do it. Now you have an opportunity to go to Showtime to have the fight, and you still don't want to go to Showtime to have the fight. So whatever, man. All this ducking shit in boxing is killing the damn sport. Nobody's interested in Plant. You're damn right, John. Nobody really cares about Caleb Plant. People cared when he was fighting Canelo. And that's it, because people wanted to see the coronation. Nobody was there to see no goddamn Caleb Plant. Nobody.
Nobody's bigger than the group. I'm the one selling the records. They coming to see me. They coming to see the Temptations. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Nobody coming to see you, Otis. Nobody was there to see Caleb Plant. Everybody was there to see Canelo.
See the Temptations. Ain't nobody coming to see you, Otis.
Nobody coming to see you, Otis. Yo, peace, Laron. Ducking and unworthy pay-per-views are strangling boxing. Man, let me tell you something. Boxing cannot get out its own way. Boxing can't get out its own way. I think these networks and platforms, yeah, definitely, man. But it's interesting how these promoters push the networks in front when they don't want to make fights. Oh, no, we have a network deal. We have a network deal. Interestingly enough, the fighters actually agreed to the fight. Both Munguia and Charlo agreed to the fight. They agreed to terms. But no, people are pushing the network in front, saying, nah, the network got to be involved. Man, please. Let's hope that shit get works out, man, because that's a decent fight for boxing. I'm not going to buy no damn Charlo versus pay-per-view versus Munguia pay-per-view. I tell you that. I'm not buying that. Anyway, Let me put the link in the chat. Anybody wants to jump on before I get off? This is not going to be a long live at all. Y'all know me. I don't stay on here long because boxing frustrates me more than it pleases me. So I end up getting annoyed talking about boxing a lot because it really annoys me. We talking about Anthony Joshua interim fight now. So it's confirmed. John Dealey says it's very short-sighted because if boxing gets unpopular, people don't watch and they lose casual audience currently have no interest in boxing. Let me tell you something, John. I saw Natasha Jonas say how after the Larry Wood fight, boxing is trending even higher than UFC. UFC won't overtake boxing anytime soon. Is Natasha Jonas serious? Boxing is getting a beating right now. And that fight was a great fight, but it's few and far between because we're not getting regular, consistent fights. We're not getting those fights. So Anthony Joshua is going to have an interim fight. And of course, the usual suspects are out. I don't know what has happened where these people forgot who Anthony Joshua is. What is interesting about these boxing fans is that they're trying their best to rewrite or restructure Anthony Joshua's career as some unworthy career, as some career that is lacking in something, and somehow reframe Anthony Joshua as some heartless coward. So Anthony Joshua is going to have an interim fight, and immediately, he's going to duck Joe Joyce. Joe Joyce is, is too tough for Joshua. Some guy said, I remember seeing, he said, he's not going to fight Joyce. Joyce has had to do it the hard way coming up, different to Joshua. I'm like, the hard way? What are y'all talking about? Leonard Ellaby's nose. Hey, what up? Leonard Ellaby's nose.
I think that nose explains a lot. I think it explains why he's such a bitter man, why he walks around with so much envy in his heart.
Oh. What's up, John? How you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm good, Tom. How are you?
I'm all right, man. Any comment on? Did you watch the Larry Wood fight, by the way?
No, I'm gonna have to just no.
You did tell me you don't have the zone anymore.
It wasn't that. I had my kids at the weekend.
Okay.
And my daughter wanted to watch Ratatouille.
So you watch Ratatouille then?
On the basis of the current state of boxing, I wasn't that hopeful for a good fight, and it turned out to be something that I need to catch up on.
Man, let me tell you something.
I will watch it.
My sons actually sat there with me. Normally, they don't care. They don't want to watch nothing I watch. If I'm watching it, they don't want to watch that, whatever it is. And they sat there and they watched that fight. I was like, wow, it was a really good fight, I must say.
No, I've missed out on the classic, so I need to catch up and watch it.
I mean, the whole atmosphere of the night was crazy. I mean, it just went down well. It was a good night of boxing. I mean, it wasn't, the undercard fights were okay. Like, I think this kid that they have from Belfast, this Agako kid, he's all right. He's not who they're trying to make him out to be. He was all right, man. But the Larry Wood fight, Mick Conlan, this is what happens when you have two people who are hungry. They want to prove a point, and they came with their best. That's all.
To be honest, from everything that I've heard about it, and I've heard a lot of reports about the fight, it sounds like they've both come out of it looking better than they went into it, including Mick Conlan, who lost.
Yeah, listen, his stock went up. Everybody's stock went up.
And this is what frustrates me about what happens with what you've just been talking about, people not fighting each other. It's they just don't understand that a loss can actually raise your profile. It is a fact, in my opinion, that Dylan White, if he hadn't have lost to Anthony Joshua when he did, he would never have been developed into the ticket seller he became after that loss in the UK.
That's true.
This is the short-sightedness of all these people that don't understand. Dylan came and he gave it to Joshua when nobody really was lasting past 3 rounds. And yeah, he got knocked out. But he came and he fought. And in the UK, if you come and you do your best, people are happy with that. They don't have a problem.
I think that's a good point. But, you know, in this climate of boxing, and it's an infection that started in the States where this if you lose, you're a bum. And I see it starting to infect more boxing markets now. If you lose, you're a bum. Nobody wants to see you. You're this, you're that.
It's a bit weird here in the UK. There's a lot of the Fury fans are. I'm not convinced they're actually boxing fans, to be honest. I think they're the element who, in the European Cup last year, it's those group of people that were sending offensive tweets and everything else out to people that missed penalties whilst representing our country, doing something that. You know, all those players did their best. They did really well, and they overachieved on expectations. And then to get all that abuse for a particular reason, well, basically racism, shows that horrible element that's still present in large sections of the UK casual sports fan. And I think a significant amount of the Fury.
John cut out. John, if you're still there, you could go ahead. I mean, you've gone quiet. Anybody hearing John? Oh, I think he's gone.
No, I'm here.
All right, go ahead.
I just stopped talking.
Oh, okay.
But I think it's those guys placing the big emphasis on the fact Fury's never lost. It'll be interesting to see what they say if he does lose.
It's just interesting how people try and reframe Anthony Joshua's narrative and his career in order to uplift Tyson Fury and other people. Like I remember listening, unfortunately, I stumbled upon, what's up, 1-2 kid? You in the house? What's up, man? I was listening to another YouTube channel. I'm not gonna give him no shine. And they were on, I guess, talking about, because Anthony Joshua or somebody who runs Joshua's account on Twitter was on answering fans. And the particular one which always gets them is when Joshua apparently retweeted a quote from Wilder when he said he turned on the fight. And of course, this pisses off all these people. And they were like, oh, you know, Joshua ain't got no heart. That guy hard pump Kool-Aid, he this, he that. So I type in and I ask, well, if Joshua is so cowardly, why is he offering Deontay Wilder $100 and something million to come and fight, and Deontay Wilder is busy turning it down? So nobody answers me. I ask it again, and I realize I got timed out. I said, okay.
There's no surprise there. That's how they deal with things. They're children.
I said, oh, okay. So so one guy, an American, which was surprising because it's an American channel. And the guy says, but I don't understand. I don't agree with y'all at all. I mean, I think the guy said, I think Joshua has the best resume in the heavyweight division. And they were mad. No. The guy was like, well, you can't say Wilder better than Joshua because Wilder ain't fought nobody better than Joshua. He ain't beat nobody better than Joshua. Nobody. And we just saw Deontay say he turned the fight down. And they all got annoyed. And I'm like, you have to do too much mental gymnastics in order to downplay this man, in order to uplift, because your favorite fighter probably ducked the Anthony Joshua fight. Your favorite fighter probably ducked one. We know Luis Ortiz ducked the fight. We know Tyson Fury ducked the fight. And we know
to be honest, the actual biggest duck goes under the radar because they kind of controlled the narrative. After the bogus $50 million offer was made to Joshua, They then backtracked and agreed to terms, I think, for 15 million from Eddie Hearn to fight in the UK. Eddie Hearn sent a contract to Finkel, and Wilder never signed it. They timed out the WBA, who were getting impatient and ended up calling the Povetkin mandatory.
That's right.
But the paperwork had been sent to Wilder. All he had to do was sign.
Yeah, that was the contract that Shelley Finkel came and did a press conference. See, I got the contract here, and they call Povetkin. He was like, "But just sign the contract then."
He'd had it for like 2 weeks.
All you have to do, you can't say you accept, because they always say, "Oh, he accepted." He accepted. I say, "Look, you don't accept an offer if you don't sign a contract."
So what he did was verbally accept terms so that the contract could be written. That's the bit that's too difficult for them to understand. It's like you have to agree to terms before you can draw up a contract, otherwise no one's going to sign it. What
a joke. So,
but that's too difficult. But this has kind of brought me around to where I wanted to go with this.
Yeah.
I want Joshua to fight Otto Wallin.
Me too.
There's a number of reasons. One of them being that he's already beat him in the amateurs quite comfortably. I think he knocked him out in the amateurs. And obviously, it's a bit harder to knock somebody out with big gloves, head guards, and because they were still wearing head guards though. And I'm not sure how many minutes the rounds were, but it's harder to knock someone out in the amateurs than it is in the pro ranks. And I'm pretty certain Joshua's got a KO victory over Wallin. And all this talk about how Fury's got this sudden power is just nonsense. Deontay Wilder's chin's really that bad. I think that's the reality of the situation. And if Joshua can get through Otto quickly, it's going to start putting pressure on Fury because they can start just shoving that down his throat a little bit. Particularly if he's not convincing against Dillian Whyte, because that's somebody that Joshua did knock out very convincingly.
I agree with the Otto Wallin fight. I like that fight. I think it also gives him more experience fighting against a good southpaw.
Yeah.
He needs that experience. He really hasn't fought. There's not a lot of these southpaws around. Alexander Usyk is probably the most advanced southpaw in that weight division. And I think it's a good fight for him. You know,
that is definitely also a benefit.
You know, Otto Wallin is a tidy, aggressive fighter. And it'll give Joshua something to think about, right? The Joe Joyce fight, well, let's face it, Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren not making that the goddamn fight together. It ain't happening.
Well, I think that's one for down the road, because just because there's having this interim fight now doesn't mean to say after that fight's done, Usyk is going to be available.
No doubt about it. I think if Joshua has an interim fight now, I think Joshua will end up having about 2 fights before.
Yeah,
because this is not going away.
Otto has already shown that he can agree deals with Eddie because of the Dillian Whyte fight that fell through. So he's somebody that there shouldn't be too much politics in the way of arranging it.
Right.
And it does exactly what you've said. Gives him more southpaw experience, which really you can't have too much of because there's hardly any in the heavyweight division. And it helps the propaganda war against Fury as well. The Joe Joyce fight, I want Joe to get away from Frank Warren.
Too late for that. I don't know why.
I don't know why he signed to him, but the reality of that fight is, and I think most people probably don't really realise this, it is enormous in Nigeria, that fight. It's huge. It's absolutely a massive fight in Nigeria, especially if they can get a world title on the line for it, which might be a bit problematic at the moment, which is why I wouldn't be in a rush to have it more than anything.
Right.
Because if you actually look into how many billionaires there are in Nigeria and how much funding they could get from the site fee for that fight, the biggest concern they'd probably have is whether they could actually sort the stadium out in time. But from domestic ticket sales in Nigeria, They wouldn't need travelling fans to attend the fight. It would sell out with Nigerians in Nigeria.
Well, the fight's sold. I mean, come on, that fight's sold.
No, but I'm just telling you, they probably can't build a stadium big enough.
Yeah,
in Nigeria.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
If Anthony Joshua fights anybody in Nigeria, that fight's
No,
sold.
no, but Joe Joyce is half Nigerian as well.
I know. But what I'm saying is, the fight's sold already with this Joshua. You bring Joe Joyce, you're gonna have to do something else. You're gonna have to put that fight.
You can put it in the National Stadium in Abuja, sell it out, and sell the tickets at a high value, because people like Frank Warren just don't understand that in Nigeria they like to spend their money to just display their wealth, and that would be an event where you could make a lot of money basically, and you would not need to sell the gate revenue. You wouldn't need to sell any tickets to the UK. And Nigeria is on the same time as the UK, pretty much. So from a pay-per-view point of view, it's not affected at all.
I agree with that. Hey, hold on for a second, John. My bad, people. I'm still at work. No, it's just
I'm not going to get you the side.
the interim fight for Joshua, I think, should be both useful and exciting. People, yeah, he want to fight Wilder, but let's face it, we haven't heard from Wilder in a while. We don't know what his mentality is right now. He might just be chilling and recovering, maybe spending some time with his family. You don't know. I mean, he's quiet right now. I mean, but Deontay, we're not gonna make no fight with Anthony Joshua right now. They're gonna bring Wilder back and do a big show, maybe on Showtime or something. They're not gonna do that fight. Joe Joyce, that's one for down the road, as you said. I think the fight to make would be easier, would be Otto Wallin. I don't want to see Luis Ortiz anywhere near Anthony Joshua, because
they won't let. They will never let Ortiz in with anybody that can punch, in case they take him out easily.
Well, he almost got taken out by Charles Martin. That shit was.
Charles Martin, I don't think is the biggest puncher out there at all. All this idea that Wilder's power, I've never been a believer in Wilder's power in the first place. I think it's been carefully managed and stage produced. Whenever he's fought three people ranked in the top 10: Bermane Stiverne, Tyson Fury, and Luis Ortiz. He's only knocked out Ortiz.
But I have a question for you. Joshua's weight loss, has that affected his power?
No. Like when he started out, he was in the 230s, and he had stupid power then.
One second. God damn. Damn. Anyway, Kyle Froch said Wilder would KO AJ the other day. He's assaulted. Don't worry, Kyle Froch.
Carl, the hate is real, Froch.
Don't worry, Kyle Froch. Don't bother with that guy.
No, he's still just. It lives rent free in his mind that AJ outsold Wembley more than him.
So, what? Oh my God. It's like when somebody asked Joshua, like, how you feel about Tyson Fury, and he said, I don't care. Like, what? I mean, the stadium is there to be sold. Why would that annoy Carl Froch? But anyway, so back to what we were saying. I think Otto Wallin is the fight. That's a really good fight. He's aggressive. He's gonna come forward and he's gonna make it interesting. He's gonna put pressure on Anthony Joshua. And I think we need to see where Anthony Joshua's head is at.
I'm not so sure he'll actually do that after watching the Brazil fight. And if I'm right in thinking that AJ has actually knocked him out in the amateurs, he might be a lot more cagey in this fight. I wouldn't want to base his performance off Tyson, of what he did against Tyson Fury, because he's been in the ring with AJ, he's sparred AJ, and they fought in the amateurs. So I would be surprised if he would be as confident going forward against AJ as he was against Tyson Fury.
Remember, a lot of people don't think Anthony Joshua's mind is there. People think
well, if he wants to be complacent about that, I mean, I think there are some question marks. There's got to be. Why on earth did you pick that strategy against Usyk? Like, what? Why did you try and outbox Usyk, and why did you not target the body against Usyk?
I told Black and them before I left that, because I didn't watch the fight live. I went out with my wife, and my wife was like, "You're not gonna watch that?" I'm like, "No." He's like, "Oh," I'm like, "I don't." If he picks, because he said in an interview before, he was asked, "Can you outbox Usyk?" And Anthony Joshua said, "Yeah, I can outbox him." I'm like, "You can outbox Usyk?" I'm like, "Bro, I told my wife, if he picks that strategy, he will lose this fight. I go eat, come back. Who lost the fight? Anthony Joshua. What strategy he picked? Let me see if I can outbox Alexander Usyk. The one thing Usyk can do better than you, the one thing is box better than you. And you chose to go to a pure boxing game plan. That don't make no sense."
But this is what upsets me about it as well, because it's got a disrespect to the past greats like Archie Moore and Joe Louis. They were fantastic technical boxers who part of their skill was setting up a knockout. Going for the knockout doesn't mean that you're not boxing well. A knockout artist will employ skill to set up the knockout punch. And why is Anthony Joshua being told that boxing is jabbing someone's head? And that's all that boxing is? Because that isn't all what boxing is. Body shots are part of boxing. Inside fighting is part of boxing. Go and look at Floyd and look at his punch selection and variety, how much time he spent in the pocket. Floyd wasn't on the outside all the time. And nobody is ever going to say that Floyd wasn't a master boxer. And he's a master because he could do everything pretty much. Go and watch Ricky Hatton fight. He beat Ricky on the inside, roughed him up and knocked him out.
That's what I'm saying. Like, but then I keep wondering, is it the same Angel Fernandez who told Anthony Joshua to take that game plan? Because
I have a concern that it was actually Joby Clayton, from certain things that I've heard various people who were ringside have said.
Who the hell is Joby Clayton?
So did you watch boxing in the Olympics?
No.
Okay. So Joby Clayton is an amateur coach, and I'm trying to remember his surname now. His first name's Ben. He got a silver medal in the light heavyweight division. He was his coach. And Spence Fearon said that he's heard Clayton telling Hearn that they thought they'd won.
What?
Yeah. And that's what Spence Fearon definitely was ringside, because I saw him. And that's what Spence is saying now. I don't think Spence would lie about something like that, personally.
Right.
And I genuinely think, and I heard the corner advice throughout the fight as well. Every time Joshua did something that looked like it was getting success, i.e. going to the body, which he did throw body shots, and Usyk clearly did not like them, he stopped. He stopped doing that.
Exactly.
And if you listen to the corner advice, they kept telling him to get behind his jab. Now, let's be honest, for all of Usyk's ability, the one thing that you need to be the least concerned about is actually getting hit by him. What you
Exactly.
don't want to try and do is fight at his pace for 12 rounds because he'll burn you out. His gas tank's phenomenal.
When you watch the Conlan versus Wood fight, right, you're going to see Wood make an effort to go to Conlan's body a lot. And then Conlan ended up going to Wood's body a lot. Wood knew I'm going to have to slow Mick Conlan down because he's a better boxer than me. He has better legs than me. He's faster than me. So I'm going to have to get at this man's body. And Conlan, I don't know if is he a natural southpaw? Because he was fighting southpaw.
I think he is a natural southpaw, yeah.
And Wood went to his body early, like trying to get at him, right? And I'm like, Joshua picked like the absolute. Joshua fought like somebody, like a middleweight. He didn't listen, man. You're a better boxer than a lot of the heavyweights. You are not a better boxer than Alexander Usyk.
Well, it depends what you mean. This is what frustrates me.
What I mean. If you're gonna turn this into a sparring match, where you're now gonna headhunt, want to jab and jab here and all this, and turn this into a footwork competition, you're gonna allow this man to use his legs on you. I mean, he's gonna move his head. He's not gonna just leave his head on the same line. He's gonna move it, but his body is right there.
But this is what I get upset about. It's like jabbing the head is not the only punch that makes you a good boxer.
But that's
timing body
shots.
shots. I know, and it seems to be very much that the people in the corner advising Anthony Joshua believe that a boxing match is who can jab the head the most. And it's like, it's the most ridiculous thing because I've seen Anthony Joshua jab the body. And when you're a long, powerful, heavy-handed boxer who's against a smaller man that has to come towards you, it's the easiest punch to let off because Anthony Joshua could jab Alexander Usyk in the chest or the arms, and it'll stop him coming forward to actually land his own punches.
If you watch the Povetkin fight.
Exactly. I'm sure I've told you this before the fight. It was the tactic I wanted him to employ. He started jabbing the body.
Joshua was
disrupting.
He was getting cooked
the
up by Povetkin when he was trying to headhunt. Getting cooked up. Okay. Then he started doing like this spearing, this stabbing jab. And that's how he knocked him out. Because Povetkin, starts slowing down, and then he starts.
I'm confident if Joshua jabs your chest and consistently lands, the energy is going to start to leave your legs. And you're going to slow down.
What's going down, Boxing Lounge? What's going down? We're discussing who should be Anthony Joshua's interim fight. Who would we like to see him do? What would we like to see Anthony Joshua do outside of the belts? Because Lord knows when Usyk is going to be over and done when Russia is going to be over and done annexing Ukraine. So we don't know when that's going to be done, but Joshua has to move on with his career. Where do we see Joshua going? So right now we're just breaking down his last fight with Usyk and the ridiculous game plan that he had. I don't know who designed his game plan because I don't know.
I'm very suspicious that in large part it was down to Joby Clayton. Now, I'm not going to say that Angel Fernandez is innocent in this game plan, but Joby was the new addition to the team. But Joshua just needs to understand what his strengths are.
But he should have enough also intelligence. Because when he switched to when the fight happened with Povetkin, I don't think that was a corner.
Do you know what I think, Kong? Against Vladimir Klitschko and against Povetkin and against Dillian White, he changed his game plan and got success. And then when he changed the game plan against Andrew Ruiz, he got knocked out horribly. And I think that's shattered his confidence in his own judgment. People think it's his confidence in his chin, but I actually think it's his confidence in his judgment. And if you listen to an interview with him after he beat Andrew Ruiz, he spent a lot of time talking about the discipline of sticking to the game plan. And I think that's something that has gone under the radar a little bit. I don't think Joshua's confident in his own decision-making anymore. Whereas prior to the first Ruiz loss, it had always been successful for him. When he'd taken rounds off to regroup, he'd actually tended to change what he was doing afterwards.
That's a good point. That's a good point, because he was very strong on corner instructions, and he made some comments about, I think, was it the O'Hara Davies fight? He was in Dubai and he yelled out something and it worked. And he made some comment about, see what happens when, your corner gives you clear instructions or whatever. I was like, what is Joshua talking about? Look here, man. Even if he doesn't trust it anymore, listen, man, at some point, you will have to be your own general in the ring.
Well,
Okay?
this is
You
what
will
he
have
needs
to
to regain. He's got to regain it, because all the best boxers know how to make the right decision at the right time. I mean, for whatever criticism I level against Tyson Fury, and anyone who knows me knows I'm not a big fan of him. One thing he has frequently shown is that he's able to make good decisions when it counts. I mean, one of the fights is against Otto Wallin. I mean, he was lucky it didn't get stopped on that cut. But when it came to do what needed to be done, he did it.
Right.
And the same thing against Steve Cunningham. When he got knocked down from Steve Cunningham and he realised it had got serious, he made the right decisions to win.
Right.
And it was Tyson's idea to leave Ben Davison and go to Sugar Hill.
Right.
And that was the right way to beat Wilder. So that is an area that I think Tyson Fury is very good and Joshua is very poor. And that's his decision-making ability, both in and out of the ring. Joshua seems a little bit lost and has done since Ruiz knocked him out, in all truth.
Right.
And it's about decision-making, not his ability to box, not his physical strength, not his power. I don't think any of those things are actually an issue. He's proven that his gas tank is good. I know he did gas out in the 12th round against Usyk in the last fight, but if you actually look at the number of punches thrown by either fighter and compare it to the record books, is right up there for a volume heavyweight title fight. There aren't many heavyweight title fights where more punches were thrown than in that fight. So yeah, he was gassed by the 12th, but I think 98% of heavyweights, if they'd have tried to throw the amount of punches Joshua threw, would also have been gassed as well. So I don't think that's a bad reflection of his gas tank either.
Well, I hope to see a change in this man. I would like to see him fight more regularly, because he needs regular work to regain that. He can't regain it by just. Lisa Bale says, I don't understand why he doesn't get a full-time experienced trainer. I don't know. I think Freddie.
It's a problem.
I think Freddie Roach could have added a lot to Joshua's camp, because Freddie Roach is the one who fell out with Ben Davidson when he was like.
For most fighters, I disagree with you, but I think for where AJ is, it would be a great addition.
It was Freddie Roach who was saying, like, if it was him, he would have told Tyson Fury, look here, man, go ahead and try and stop Deontay Wilder. This is the first fight. Ben Davison was against that, and whatever. But I do want to see him fight Otto Wallin. That's a good fight for him because of the whole southpaw situation. He needs that kind of energy, that kind of experience. Remember, Joshua is just 20-something fights into his career. Not a lot, really. But he's at a stage where fighters know, at his age, where they know going into maybe the second half of the career, and it's not too far from the end, because after you pass 35, for some people, that's the downward spiral. So
I'm not so sure about that with Joshua.
If
you look at Vladimir Klitschko, who he definitely takes a lot of advice from, Vlad went through all these problems in the early part of his career. I'm pretty certain his winning streak was throughout his 30s, wasn't it?
That's true. However, who he hooked up with is very important. The trainer he hooked up with after.
I'm not going to dispute that per se, but to have that longevity takes a huge amount of physical dedication to maintain yourself in peak condition. So whether Joshua would go on to win the fights, it would really, if he had Manny Stewart, then yeah, I think he'd do a lot better. But his ability to stay in shape and be in a condition to continue to fight for that amount of time, that comes down to your discipline in the gym.
Shizbit says AJ has made massive amounts of money. I think so. I mean, I think so. You know, if he wasn't hungry, he would have retired, right? And this is the issue. I don't think Joshua needs money.
But he could have dropped the belt against Usyk as well.
Yeah, if it was about money, he could have done a lot of different things just for money. I mean, it's not.
He didn't have to hold on to all those free belts fighting those mandatories if he wasn't trying to prove how good he can be, at least.
Yeah, I don't think money had nothing to do with it. I think the dude really wants to be the best he can be. You know, it's just, in my opinion, the guidance needed. You know, we'll have to see this Angel Fernandez guy, you know, perform, because that game plan versus Usyk was absolutely atrocious. Absolutely atrocious. And that's just my comment. What's up, Haplo? How you doing, man? Peace. You know, that's all I got on that, man, on the AJ interim stuff. John, anything else you want to talk about, man?
No, that's really why I jumped on. I just wanted to say that I think Otto Wallin's the best opponent for now.
Yeah, Otto is a good opponent. Plus, I think he's the only likely opponent. Like all these other guys, really.
They know they can do business with him. As far as I know, Otto doesn't have any fights lined up. It'll be a big money fight for him. I don't really see what he's got to lose. And then after that, I'd fight. Who's Hrgovic fighting though?
Zhang.
Yeah, fight Hrgovic after he beats Zhilei Zhang. I'd take that as my next fight afterwards.
Yeah, I don't think this Ukraine situation is gonna get better no time soon, because that shit looks terrible.
Exactly, and also Joshua could do fighting 3 times if he can.
Well, I would like that. He throughout the pandemic, it's been
Joshua's always said he wanted to be more active. He said he doesn't think Eddie can deliver the big fights for him. But now there's no title belts on the line. Do they really have to be these ridiculously massive extravaganzas? He just needs rounds. He needs to be in the ring fighting.
Well, you know Eddie Hearn. Eddie Hearn wants to turn everything Anthony Joshua into a spectacle. It doesn't have to be. It could just be solid fights for now. Just get the guy.
Just sell out the O2, make decent money, and get a few fights under his belt, and he'd probably end up with the same amount of money at the end of the year anyway.
Yeah, I don't think he's fighting Usyk this year, to be honest.
There's no way that's going to be resolved anytime soon.
Because this is going to
Usyk might never box again. I mean, that's the reality of it. Usyk is not a spring chicken.
Yeah, this is going to be bad. This shit is not going to ease up no time soon, bro. So
no, I'm not up to. Well, I mean, there are a few ways I can see an end to it, but I'm not optimistic that that's what will happen. Ultimately, what needs to happen is that the Russians need to depose him from inside. It's the only way it comes to an end. And I don't really know how realistic that is. But
yeah, but that's a shame. But I'm hoping this year we get to see. And you know, despite popular opinion, I don't hate Deontay Wilder to the people who wonder. I actually would like to see Wilder fight more. This is why I didn't want his career to be all about Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder has an opportunity, just like Anthony Joshua, by the way, to just fight regular fights, have more fights, have different types of people to fight. He has more room. The belts sometimes weigh you down, where you're waiting for unification, or you're waiting for this, you're waiting for that. Now you don't have no belt, but you have a name. You could do a few things, you know? And I would like to see Deontay Wilder get back in there and just fight regularly. I think he's 36. Man, You know, I don't.
I'm not sure we're going to see Wilder fight again, if I'm honest.
Well, that's unfortunate because then that means I'm stuck with people like Joseph Parker, who, by the way, I have to laugh at because after your inept promoter, what's his name,
Higgins,
Higgins,
David Higgins,
made some ridiculous comment about, oh, we don't want Joseph Parker to end up like Anthony Joshua, only known in some parts of London. I was like, bro, Joseph Parker gets weighed in at McDonald's, Burger King in New Zealand. What are you talking about? This man fights in dining rooms, right? And it's like, no, they were like, oh, you know, we're going to go to America. We're going to get these fights in America. None of them American fights worked out. None. Absolutely none. No Andy Ruiz, none. Now you're back in England. Frank Warren don't want to make the damn Joe Joyce fight, which would be a good fight, but they don't want to make that fight because of money or whatever. So it's just kind of unfortunate that if Deontay Wilder don't come back, I'm stuck with people like Joseph Parker, and I am not a fan of Joseph Parker.
There are new heavyweights coming through, to be honest, and I think Parker's a similar situation. He's going to disappear soon enough. What's he actually got to fight for? He's got no motivation or ambition. The Joshua purse has made him wealthy beyond his ambition and his dreams. And I'm not really sure what he's playing at, but he's certainly got zero dog, zero ambition, or, you know, what happens if Tyson Fury becomes undisputed because he said he'd never fight him?
Well, I don't know. Maybe he fights somebody else. I guess fight the people. Like be like Tyson Fury's mid boss, like in a video game where you gotta pass Joseph Parker first to fight Tyson, the final boss. You know
there's a few other things that I think he might, you know, just do with Tyson anyway when no one else is around.
All right. Well, hey,
I just don't like him. Right. But there's other people in the heavyweight division. I mean, I'm optimistic, and I'm getting laughed at a lot for this. I think Dillion's gonna give Tyson all the work that he can handle and possibly knock him out.
Well, why are you getting laughed at for that? I think Dillian has a great chance to.
I'm in the UK. I don't
think he will win, but I think it's a high chance. He has a good chance of winning this fight.
Well, if you look at the things that Tyson struggles with, he struggles to defend against left hand, and he doesn't like being hit to the body. And a lot of people that I speak to seem to think that Tyson's going to dance around and Dillian isn't going to be able to put a glove on him. But we haven't seen that Tyson Fury
in a good while
since the first Deontay Wilder fight, and Deontay Wilder managed to land on him without throwing any body shots.
What I find amazing is that I don't know if it's that Tyson just can't lose the weight no more or he refuses to. Where
I think
he's getting bigger and bigger.
I think the last time he tried to lose the weight, it took too much out of him. So everybody likes to say, oh, Tyson fights to the level of his opponent, which is why Otto Wallin did so well. And I think it's pretty revealing that his dad was really upset about what the plan had been for that fight and the weight that he came in at. I don't think Tyson... He's like a lighter weight fighter when they can't safely make weight anymore. He gets too fat in between camps to try and lose that weight. I don't think he can perform when he loses that amount of weight anymore. And the amount of time he's got to shift it now as well. I mean, have you seen him lately?
I have not.
There's no way that he's going to come in anywhere under 260 pounds. And whenever he's been light on his feet and gone 12 rounds and fought at a distance, he's been in the 250s. He might come in lighter than when he last fought at Deontay Wilder. I can see that being completely possible. But I'd be shocked if he came in outside of the 260s. And I don't think Tyson can do that long distance herky jerky style at that weight. He hasn't even attempted to do it since he's got heavier.
What's your
And
Go
if
ahead.
that is the case, I think he's going to have a hard night because also what a lot of people don't seem to understand is just because he knocked out Deontay Wilder, that doesn't mean he has lots of power.
Well, we saw Eric Molina about Deontay Wilder, so.
People don't understand that though, Kong. A lot of people seem to think that if you punch hard, you have a good chin. And it's like, well, have you ever heard of Tommy Hearns? I mean, Tommy's one of my favourite fighters of all time, but he didn't have the best chin.
Yeah, after a while, Roy Jones didn't have a great chin neither.
I don't think Roy ever had a good chin. I think his reflexes were what he used to say.
Yeah, when he got older and them reflexes started getting bad. Oh yeah,
because the early parts of their careers, I think, are very similar. Ali and Roy were very similar when they were young. But what we found out when both of them, their reflexes went, was what their chins were like. And Ali had an absolute world-class chin, and Roy didn't.
Right.
So, and I don't think it's very good for Ali how good his chin was. I mean, if you look at 70s Ali, he's not mobile, and he's certainly not elusive.
Yeah.
He's a punchback.
What's your opinion on Amir Khan apparently not retiring? According to Ben Shalom.
I don't really care. I just like Amir Khan has been a bit of a joke to me for a very long time. He, I think, struggled to handle the fame that he received in the UK because he got it at a very early age. He was actually carrying boxing in the UK at one point. He really was. And I think after a point, he thought he was this big A side that it really wasn't. And I don't care if I never see him fight again. I didn't watch the Khan Brook fight because it was on pay-per-view, and I wasn't going to pay for it because they should have given it to me about 4 or 5 years ago.
Right. Well, I saw what's his name, Dominic Ingalls saying for the Conor Ben, there's 20 million pounds in the pot, and I'm like 20 million pounds. Kell Brook wants 10 million and 2 for Conor. I'm like, excuse me, since when is Kell Brook a 10 million pound fighter?
What did he get against? His guarantee was 2 against Amir Khan, wasn't it? He might have got it after the pay-per-view sales because I think they did well. They did about 500,000, didn't they? They can say what they want. Everybody thinks that Eddie will just spend money on anything, and Eddie's got an endless supply of money, and that's Eddie's role is to give them the amount of money they want.
Yeah. Anyway, hey John, I'm gonna get out of here, bro.
Cool. All right. Well, it's good talking to you. You have a good evening.
Yeah, man. You too, man. Hey, peace to everybody in the chat. Thanks for coming through, listening to me and my nonsense for an hour. Y'all be easy, stay safe, and take care of yourselves, man. Peace.